YouTubers, and welcome to Walking Testimonies. I am Sierra and I will be your host of this channel. So this channel is dedicated to sharing the various testimonies of various individuals and their various trials and how they made it through, but not just by themselves, with the power of God, with prayer, with consistency, with persistency. So we want to share those stories with you guys because you never know who it may help, whether it be you or someone you know. But we want to bring you guys hope and let you know that God still loves you. So, what is a testimony? A testimony is a written or oral statement by definition, and is also the evidence or proof provided by the existence of something. Blah, blah, blah. So, what does that mean? That's our story. The evidence is our story. The provided existence is God, because we couldn't have made it through. And you'll see from hearing the stories, including mine today, that we couldn't have made it through without the power and the prayer of God or to God. So we want to share those things with you and let you know that God is not far away. He is very close and He's waiting for you to talk to Him. So what is my story? Well, I have a son, and him and I used to live in subsidized housing, which is income-based housing. While this helped me get through school and college, and I finished, I did notice things that were going on around me, even through school, but I was at a peace. I was at a place where it really didn't bother me. I really didn't notice it. And I feel like that was God. I really, really believe that was God just shielding me so that I couldn't finish that chapter of my life. And I worked part-time, so I was very, very grateful to God for those things, but while still being able to maintain. So I graduated from college. Yay! We know how hard that is. I graduated from college, and I'm still living in my subsidized apartments. Very nice apartments. But again, my surroundings were just crazy. Just music blasting, stomping, drugs, murders. There's a few things that went on around there that made the living situation kind of not favorable at all. And so, around this time, I had a girlfriend of mine who said, I feel like I'm missing something. I said, well, let's go to Bible study. I mean, the church I would attend, which was my stepmom's church, it was really cool. I always said I wanted to go back, so that's how I got back into church. Very nonchalant, stopped by her house, we had a conversation, and then we started to go, and that was the beginning. That was when I really took hold of God, Jesus. Who are these people? Like, I knew them, I associated with them, said a few prayers and amens to them, yet I never really had a relationship with them. And we all know the difference between having an associate and a relationship. With a relationship, you take it more seriously, you respect it more, you love it more. True. And so I began that relationship with God, with Jesus, with the Holy Spirit that I've never had before. And I feel like that grounded me for what was to come. So what did come? Well, I'm still getting this noise around me. I'm getting all this noise around me, all this disrespect. And I went to my neighbors and say, hey, can you keep it down? It always would stop for a little moment, but then it would start back up again. It would be the disrespect. And I'm just like, God, what am I to do? What am I supposed to do? How am I want to leave here, but I don't have the money. What am I supposed to do? I was so frustrated and confused. And I just would be praying to him. And I just remember being in my apartment one night, and again, I'm hearing music and loud kids stomping, and it was just hectic. And so I started to pray to him, standing in my dining room. And I said to him, Lord, please move me from here. I'm not going to be hasty about it. I'm going to try to listen to you, and I want to do it in order, but please, you got to get me out of here. And so, like a month later, I'm at work on my lunch break. I get a phone call. It's the managers. They said, Miss Johnson, can you please get home? There's been a fire and there's extensive damage. I was like, what? So I left work, and on my way there, I'm like, how bad is it? What? I didn't know what I was going into. Well, when I pulled up to my house, my apartment complex, it was crazy. It was a lot of people crying and just in awe. And it was fire trucks and firemen hosing down my apartment building. Uh, and all I could do was just stand there. It was devastating, but I couldn't do much but stand there. I didn't cry or anything, and I felt like that was just God given, just having this peace, and I was calm. I was really calm. I can't really explain it, but I was really calm, and I felt, and I believe that was just the peace of God. And so after the fact, when everything cleared out, they did as much as they could with putting the fire out. Red Cross was there, and they gave us all a few hundreds to get us through, and the apartment property managers paid for hotels for all the displaced families. However, I didn't go because I didn't want to go to that environment that I'm trying to get away from. And I had family to go to, so my son and I stayed with some family and friends within the next couple of days and try to get our life back in order. And life had to go on. I still had to go to work eventually, so he still had to go to school. So with that, I just remember just having all these blessings. I had renter's insurance, so that was covered. And I just remember having all this support around me, all of this support. So within that, I remember going to Bible study one night, and my pastor, him pulling me to the side and speaking with me and just asking me, is everything okay? And I said, yeah, but I don't know if I want to go back there. Because remember, I know what I prayed for. Remember, I told you in the beginning of the story that I remember standing in my dining room, praying that I want to leave here, but I just didn't know when, how, and how was I going to finance it. And so he said, well, God speaks to us in different ways, through prayer, through people, through situations, through the word. I think that's 4. And so I said, well, okay. And I remember, like, maybe the next day or two, the managers had a meeting with all the displaced families, and they said they had apartments available for every family that was displaced. And I was like, well, okay. We would be back in our apartment, back in our individual rooms, back in our own space. But then the Holy Spirit came over me. And I believe it was the Holy Spirit because, again, I remember what I prayed for. And I remember what I asked him for in that prayer. And it was to remove me. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. But it speaks about his ways are not our ways. So although it was pretty bad from a natural point of view, God brought me out of something I was asking him. So to go back to it would have been foolish of me. So yes, that put me in a spot where my son and I were in one room and one bed, and a bed that was actually donated by one of my sisters from church. And so we basically, our clothes were able to be salvaged in the fire, but we basically went from nothing, moving in to my dad's place, my girlfriend's place for a few days, and it was basically like us starting over. And it's a big change and it's uncomfortable. However, I did it. I didn't go back to it. Um, there's a story in the Bible that speaks of going backwards in a way, and I'll explain it. In Genesis 19, there's a man named Lot, and some angels came into the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. In Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible, it was just crazy city, everything going on, prostitution, sex, and all this stuff going on. And God was like, enough. I'm going to destroy it. So some angels came to town. Lot sees them and invites them in. They tell Lot, you got to get out. And he said, he wants to gather his family. So long story short, he left his wife, kids, and so forth. The angel said, don't look back. However, his wife looked back. She turned to a pillar of salt. So if I can just give you a word of wisdom from my story and that biblical story, it's to not look back. God is taking you forward, and you know it because it's been a feeling in your belly. You know what has been going on. You know what the thoughts you've had. You know the things that you may have talked about, not to anyone else, just put them out in the atmosphere. You know those things. And He is the Holy Spirit that's speaking to you. But you may not know that yet. But what I need you to know is go forward. Do not go back. Don't stand still. Go forward. Don't go back to the same situation that you're asking to go forward from. It's imperative. And listen, talk to God about it. You may not know Him well, you may not believe in Him, but have a conversation with Him. Give it a try. We give everything else a try. Give Him a try and see what He does. See how you get to know Him. Because He knows you and He still loves you despite us. And I'm not perfect. Like I said, I haven't been in church for years. I didn't grow up in church. So I'm not perfect. I've had the baby and not been married. I've been sexually active since I was a teenager. I've been in a clinic before. I'm not perfect. But God still loves me. And He says He has forgiven me. And just as He has forgiven me, He can forgive you too. And He loves you unconditionally. So go to Him. Talk to Him. Say hi. Start from there. Be blessed. And listen, I plan on bringing you more episodes where I get the chance to interview somebody so that you can know their story. And maybe this can help you or someone else. So if you like this video, please share it. Please like it. And wait for the next one. With God's love, I love you. And stay blessed and be blessed. And keep the peace. Until next time. Thank you.